TPM, Talking Points Memo, sat down with Joseph Stiglitz and had a conversation with him. I'm going to play you the first part here, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
To a large extent, this is a zero-sum game. That we are just moving things around.
Right.
And some people gain, some people lose. Part of the strategy here is to try to make sure that we, the taxpayers, don't lose. Part of the Wall Street strategy is to try to make sure that we, the taxpayers, do lose.
Right.
And this is the fundamental nature of what is going on. Now, the aggregator bank is just another name for a variant of what was Paulson's original proposal, which was called cash for trash.
Right.
Except now we've decided to go into buying garbage in bulk. So rather than buying asset by asset, which was going to take a very long time, what we're going to do is go in and haul off huge amounts of garbage out of the banks. Now, if you think we couldn't price individual assets, think about the problem of pricing bundles of garbage. Moreover, probably the bundles are so complex that a decision will be made that you haul off these assets before they fill in which these are. That was part of the problem in the Citibank deal. Right. That at the time that the question is we were going to insure a set of assets, $300 billion, it wasn't agreed which assets were going to be insured. And obviously there's a great incentive for the bank to put all of the crappiest assets onto our balance sheet. Right. The fundamental thing is that we give them money without getting anything in return. Right. So what would normally be something in return would be an equity stake. The problem is that since the equity of the banks is so low, an equity stake really means, appropriate equity stake means these banks are wiped out. That is to say, the equity owners are wiped out. One way of thinking about this is to realize that the equity, say in Citibank, is down to $20 billion or so, is what some estimates put it. Might be lower, might be a little higher. Well, on a $2 trillion balance sheet. Now, $2 trillion means that if the price of the underlying asset goes down by 1%, not very much, that's $20 billion. They're wiped out totally. And we know that the underlying assets, real estate, are likely to go down by 10%, 15% is what the experts think. So there is no equity in some sense in these banks. And so the whole objective here is to hide what is really going on.
All right, now, do you understand what happened there? This is very, very important. Now, he said 5 things that are critical. And the reason I keep going to Stiglitz is because, 1, he's been right about all this stuff. 2, he's one of the top experts in the world. He's basically got 2 Nobel Prizes for economics. One he has by himself, and one he was the lead author of a report on climate change when that won the Nobel Prize. And number 3, when you listen to him, you go, yeah, okay, that's what I thought. It makes perfect sense. It's a complicated issue. Economics is, of course, macroeconomics on this scale. So it's good to have an expert that deals with it every day and knows the ins and outs of it. So, and in that little 3-minute clip there, he confirmed 5 things for me that I thought, wait, am I seeing this wrong? Because this doesn't look like it makes any sense. So, number 1, this is a zero-sum game. So any money we put in to rescue Wall Street is money they don't have to put in. So they're going to run a game, and their strategies, as he explained there, to dump as much of this bad assets on us as they possibly can and have us pay for it and not them. Because everything we don't pay for, they have to pay for. So why would we go ahead and do that? It doesn't make too much sense. Now, you say, well, there might be other reasons why we might do that. So then we go to point number 2. He says, look, if you think that they're going to give us their best assets when we give them the discretion to pick assets, which assets they'd like to dump on us, you're crazy. Of course they're going to give us their crappiest assets. They're going to say, oh, you're going to take these assets off my hand? Well, let me keep the good ones where I'm going to make a profit. Let me dump all the ones where I'm going to lose money on your ass. Okay? But of course they would do that. I would do that if I was in their position. So then they will turn around after we pay, an untold sum of money for their mistakes. Then they turn around and go, look, we're making a profit. What are you talking about? See? We were geniuses all along. And we're back to taking our bonuses. Why? Because they kept the best assets. And they dumped the rest on us. Point number 3. They said, look, Tim Geithner's plan is basically a variant of Hank Paulson's plan, the Bush plan. Except the garbage dump is even larger. Before, we were trying to do it asset by asset. Now we're just saying, hey, have at it, and you tell me which ones you want to dump on my ass, and I'll just buy them in mass. It's even worse than Paulson's plan. Point number 4. What do we get in return? Nada, squat, zilch. He says, we don't get anything in return. Well, that doesn't make any sense. That's not how capitalism's supposed to work. If we put all this money in, whether it's in the form of loans or actual money that we wind up losing when they dump these crappy assets on us, we get nothing in return. When in fact, in normal course of business, if you invested in something like this, you get everything in return. You get a lot in return. And in fact, that leads us to point number 5. He says these companies, they have only about 1% of their capital. So that means any kind of small fluctuation wipes them out, which basically means they're worthless. So why are we rescuing companies that are worthless, and we're taking all their losses, and we're getting nothing in return? Well, that doesn't make any sense at all, because it doesn't. Tim Geithner's plan is disastrous. I think it's terrible, and we should not make the mistake of trusting Geithner just because Obama selected him. We can see the plan with our own 2 eyes. We can have the top economists in the world, like Joseph Stiglitz, look at it and tell us it doesn't make any sense. Who am I going to believe? Geithner or my lying eyes? No, this plan is miserable. No way. Can't have it. And we shouldn't agree to it.